It's 12:07 on Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to The John Phillips Show. Johnny's on vacation this week. He'll be back on Monday. So it's Randy Wang here flying solo, broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. The phone number to join us is 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you want to follow me on the social medias and see all of my food porn, you go to Randy Wang Radio on Instagram or on Twitter or on Threads. I haven't posted anything on Threads yet. I don't really know what to do with it. I just know that it's a thing. So a couple of days ago, I was invited by our friend Marla Tejas over at Fox 11 to take a tour of the Fox 11 studios and see how a TV newsroom works. And as long as I've been doing this, I've been at KBC for 10 years, but I've been working in radio for 16 years. I've never actually been inside a TV newsroom, and it was really exciting to see how different it was. And it was especially interesting and exciting to be in a newsroom the second the thing happens that completely derails everything that was scheduled that day. It's an occurrence that is all too common here in Southern California. That's right. There was a hot car chase. And it was a big one. It was a wild one. There was a guy driving in the wrong direction, speeding all kinds of different directions. He got out of the car, tried to ditch the car, was arrested. It was fascinating television. And, of course, the car that was stolen was part of a trend because it was another Kia. I would say more often than not these days, when you're staring at the car that's driving somehow in no traffic on the freeway that's evading the police, these days lately it's a Kia or a Hyundai. And we know that after a huge TikTok trend earlier this year, it has become widely known amongst the TikToking criminals that it's very simple to steal one of these cars. It's happening so rampantly that later that night, there was a report that another Kia was stolen in the Bay Area. This is from Cron 4 in San Francisco.
Earlier this week, we reported on a disturbing TikTok trend where thieves post videos of themselves stealing Kia and Hyundai cars.
There's no way to track who that is and make an arrest. I mean, we're all walking around with a tracking device in our pocket. It knows our location at all times. And when you're actively posting on social media that you are stealing a car, isn't that evidence? Isn't there something we could do with that right away? At least I think so.
Attorney General Rob Bonta requested the car companies recall their vehicles to fix a problem, but it seems to only be getting worse. Cron 4's Rob Nesbitt joins us live from the newsroom with an update.
Ella, in the last week, I've seen multiple Instagram posts of people falling victim in the Bay Area. Their car is stolen, found dumped in a parking lot weeks later, stripped and totaled. The online videos of Kias and Hyundais being stolen have been seen millions of times.
Stealing the cars, doing joy runs, filming on their TikToks.
Last week, Joey...
What's the point of this? To get clicks? Because they burn the car. They don't even scrap it for parts. I mean, what do you get out of that? Is someone doing an endorsement deal with a Car Theif on TikTok right now? Like, this is the best USB cable you can buy to steal this car? I just don't really understand what the end game is here. Okay, yes, I stole a car. How fun was that? But what do you get out of that?
Stealing the cars, doing joy runs, filming on their TikToks.
Last week, Joey Johnson fell victim.
So it must have happened overnight sometime.
The broken glass still on the sidewalk where his 2013 Hyundai Elantra was parked in San Francisco when it was stolen.
I then called the police.
Of course, broken glass on the streets of San Francisco, that's pretty much every street everywhere.
The broken glass still on the sidewalk where his 2013 Hyundai Elantra was parked in San Francisco when it was stolen.
I then called the police. They sent someone out to do the report, and that's when before I had even told them what the car was, they assumed it was a Hyundai or a Kia that had gotten stolen.
Oh, no. 911. How can I help you? Oh, my car got stolen. Let me guess. Kia? Hyundai? What kind of deal did you get on that car? You know that car theft doesn't cover the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty that they give on the Kias and the Hyundais.
From 2011 to 2022, Hyundai and Kia did not equip cars in the U.S. with engine immobilizers, an anti-theft device. In April, Attorney General...
Although I'm sure most dealers love to sell you that as a mandatory add-on.
In April, Attorney General Rob Bonta called on the car companies to make immediate recalls to fix the problem. Officer Jessica Perry with the Berkeley Police Department says the crimes are increasing as the year goes on.
We're at about 40% of all of our vehicle thefts throughout the city are still involving Kias or Hyundais.
Think about that. There's how many? 40, 50 different car brands, especially if you include all the brand new ones in the EVs. And 40% are the two Korean car companies that most people would associate with cheaper cars.
She says the thieves use basic...
Although you would associate, but believe you me, they're not necessarily always the cheaper car. When I was car shopping last year and I was trying to decide between a Chevy Bolt EUV and a Kia Niro, they were the same price. Glad I went with the Chevy.
She says the thieves use basic household items such as a USB or screwdriver to start the cars after breaking in. I reached out to both Kia and Hyundai, getting a response from Hyundai that they've taken action by rolling out free anti-theft software upgrades to 4 million vehicles and offer steering wheel locks to cars that cannot be upgraded. According to Officer Perry, the thieves often use the stolen vehicles as getaway cars for other crimes.
Whenever you see someone using a car to crash into a business, chances are that car was stolen, because who would do that to their own car? How do you call your car insurance to tell them that your car was damaged when you crashed it into a grocery store?
A high percentage of these vehicles that are being used to commit crimes. And then at that point, that vehicle's abandoned somewhere, and that at that point is when we recover it.
Officer Perry says many insurance companies are refusing to insure Kias and Hyundais because of the social media trend.
Okay, now that is pretty interesting. I remember when I was driving a Honda CR-V, a red Honda CR-V, if that. It was my mom's old car, and I decided to take it over. I was told by the insurance company then that they needed to charge me higher rates because at the time, this is 2005, the Honda CR-V was the most stolen car in America. And to them, I said, how is that my fault? But now we've gotten to a point where the insurance companies aren't even going to insure Kias and Hondas, at least for theft, because you should have known better about the car that you bought 10 years ago. What the hell's going on here?
Officer Perry says many insurance companies are refusing to insure Kias and Hyundais because of the social media trend. Johnson says his insurance company does not offer theft, making a terrible experience even worse.
It's just really unfortunate and just a bummer, too, that it happened so easily.
Officer Perry says if you have a Kia or a Hyundai and you have not been contacted about a recall, you should reach out to a dealership and see what your options are. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Rob Nesbitt, Cron 4 News.
And here's where the split in thinking occurs on this story. Because, yes, it's true, these are easier to steal than other cars, but still, the vast majority of us, whether it's easy to do it or not, whether it gets you TikTok views or not, would never even think of breaking into someone's car and stealing it. It's just not in our wheelhouse. Not something I think about doing, ever. So, are we really going to sit here and blame the car manufacturer because their car is easier to steal than other cars? Or do we blame the criminals or the criminal justice system in California that usually gives these people a slap on the wrist? I remember a story 2 years ago. This was during COVID when we had the no bail because of COVID. There was a guy arrested for stealing a car. 12 hours later, he got out. He stole a car. 12 hours later, he got arrested and got out and tried to steal a car across the street from the Glendale police station. But according to people like George Gascon or the Attorney General of the state of California, Rob Bonta, it's not so much that, car thieves are running rampant and car thieves can operate with impunity to the point where they're posting it on social media. It's that the damn car manufacturers just made it too sweet of a deal, too appealing of an offer. In fact, Rob Bonta was on CNBC just a few weeks ago defending that position, blaming Kia and Hyundai, not so much the car thieves.
I'm sure you've heard this. I think most of our viewers would probably be like, why not just try to prevent crime?
We believe everyone should follow the law. And there's a federal legal requirement that requires Kia and Hyundai to put engine immobilizers in their vehicles, meaning that when there's no key in the vehicle, it shouldn't be able to operate. That is not true right now. Everyone knows that because of TikTok. If you use a screwdriver and a USB cord, you can operate these vehicles with ease. And so Are
you just transmitting that information now on national television? Good job, top law enforcement cop in the state.
A screwdriver and a USB cord, you can operate these vehicles with ease. And so there's a huge vulnerability. It fails to follow the law. We believe that those who are stealing vehicles and Kia and Hyundai alike should follow the laws. We'd all be safer for it.
Notice how the Attorney General of the state of California is spending a lot of time talking about the car manufacturer and gave barely 2 seconds of lip service to the car thieves themselves, the ones committing the crimes.
We believe that those who are stealing vehicles and Kia and Hyundai alike should follow the laws. We'd all be safer for it.
Lumping them in the same category, practically.
Right now, with the thefts being as frequent and as common as they are, we're seeing double, triple in some cities. It puts undue pressure on our law enforcement's limited resources. It hurts the consumers, whose one of their biggest investments is being taken from them. These cars have been used in other criminal activity. It's led to injury, 8 deaths nationwide. This is preventable. This is stoppable.
It would be preventable if we were putting these people in prison where they belong for something like stealing a car. But that's not happening. If people are posting on TikTok about it, they're not really worried about getting caught, are they? Well, that response from Rob Bonta led to the inevitable follow-up question, what about arresting people?
Well, the safest community would be to stop car thefts. I mean, why are car thefts up? I think you said they tripled.
They tripled for Kias, driven by Kia and Hyundai, is being stolen, which may as well have a bumper sticker or a sign on them that says "Steal me" because of this.
But we're not blaming. Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai.
We are blaming the car. Yes, CNBC host.
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law. We believe in the rule of law, that you should follow it, that Hyundai and Kia should follow the law that governs their industry, a law that they could follow and should have followed, that they did follow in Canada and Europe at the same time they were not following that law in the United States, and that those who are stealing cars should also follow the law, not steal cars, but when they are, they should be held accountable. People should follow the law, so should Hyundai and Kia.
Notice how he said the word accountable, because how dare we want to put somebody in prison for stealing a car, which for a lot of people is your livelihood. What exactly? How are you supposed to get to and from work, take your kids to and from school? Use the bus? Then you'd be a victim of a completely other crime. But this is just not new. If you're here in Southern California, you've heard this line before. Don't blame the criminal. Blame the manufacturer of the product that made it easy to steal. Down here in Los Angeles, Nithya Raman, member of the LA City Council in the Sherman Oaks area, she was caught at a town hall when she was asked about rampant catalytic converter thefts in her district. She decided that it was really Toyota's fault because those things were so easy to steal.
In this case, I think one of the things that really infuriates me is that we have a company, Toyota, who makes the Prius, that essentially has a device on their cars, which is super easy to remove. It's basically the value of a MacBook, right? That is put in a place that is incredibly easy to access in your car. And then the thefts related to this issue have essentially all of the costs of that are given to us to bear instead of them having to manufacture a car that actually is not so easy to be stolen. I think it's outrageous.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate that people are stealing catalytic converters. Hate the car manufacturer that made such a valuable piece of equipment so easy to steal. And it's not just her in the city council. Let's not forget our favorite Eunices Hernandez in the Highland Park District in Council District 1 in the Los Angeles City Council. This is what she said when it was time to increase penalties and give more resources to police to go after rampant catalytic converter thefts.
Criminalizing the mere possession of a catalytic converter I think is the wrong way to go, because we know which communities are going to be the ones that are most criminalized because of this. This makes it a misdemeanor. It creates a fine of $1,000. You can go to jail for 6 months. Even a short...
Your whole life would be ruined. I mean, what are these people supposed to do? Not steal the catalytic converter? That's not going to happen.
Even a short incarceration of a couple of days can destabilize someone's life forever and leads to collateral consequences that they have to carry until they can get an expungement, if they can get that. And as written, it requires you to have more information and more backup and pictures, more than it takes to require, like, to register a vehicle, which is already difficult. So I just am not in agreement with creating more opportunities to criminalize our communities.
Well, at least she can rhyme about creating opportunities to criminalize her communities. But this seems to be quite the trend. We're not going to blame the criminal who decided to steal someone's livelihood or destroy somebody's car with a catalytic converter. We're going to blame the manufacturer, because if you make a car that's really easy to steal, people just can't help themselves. At the same time, yes, these cars are really easy to steal, and apparently it's trending all the time on TikTok. Look at me, I jacked a Kia Optima. So I now have to go to you, the audience. You've heard the arguments from the people that have their cars stolen. You've heard the argument from the Attorney General, Rob Bonta. In the wake of rampant car thefts, an increase in car thefts of Kias and Hyundais because of a security error that was hacked on TikTok, Rob Bonta is blaming the car manufacturer for making their car too easy to steal. Do you agree with Attorney General Rob Bonta that Kia and Hyundai are to blame for making their cars too easy to steal? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. You could, of course, email us as well at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. But we'd love to get your thoughts and your phone calls. This man not only is the Attorney General, he wants to be your next governor, and he believes that it is Kia and Hyundai's fault that their cars are just too easy to steal. Do you agree with him? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Johnny's away this week. It's Randy Wang here. We've seen a massive spike in car theft, specifically Kias and Hyundais. And the Attorney General is blaming the manufacturer for making them too easy to steal on TikTok.
Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law.
Do you agree with Rob Bonta? Let's go to the phones and start with Ron in Seal Beach. Ron, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, Randy. How are you today?
I'm fantastic.
I love you and your show. I love you and John. Listen, Bonta's an idiot. He knows it. We know it. Everybody knows it. He doesn't make sense. He'll do anything but put somebody in jail. Randy, what about all the other things that get stolen at Walmart? And what about this kid that just stole a plane that worked at the airport? Is it Boeing's fault because making it easy for him to fly? I mean, these guys make up so many excuses for everything. We know, everybody knows damn good and well, you steal something, it's not the item's fault. You can't blame it on that. That's why these guys don't go on your show, because you and John will paint them into a corner. I love it when you hold their feet to the fire. Pure scumbags, these guys, Randy.
Well, luckily they do other interviews, and we can play those and still hold their heat to the fire.
All right, Randy. Take care, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, Ron. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Rob Bonta is blaming Kia and Hyundai for making cars that are just too easy to steal.
Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law.
Do you agree with the Attorney General? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The Attorney General of the state of California, Rob Bonta, in wake of massive increases in car thefts, mostly Kias and Hyundais, is blaming Kia and Hyundai.
Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law.
Do you agree with the Attorney General? 800-222-KABC. Let's start with Craig in Newport. Craig, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, Randy. You had a report on, a traffic report a few minutes ago that said there was a car door in one of the lanes on the freeway. I'm just wondering what car manufacturer is going to be responsible for that. I don't know if they didn't say what model it was. But here's the thing. I hate to ever agree with these people. And obviously our biggest problem is that we don't confront crime and we don't punish these guys, at least not enough that they'll stop doing this stuff. But I do feel like the auto manufacturers, if they know something on their car is valuable, they should make it more difficult. And I go back to the catalytic converter when you guys covered that before. I had to agree. You know, I had to have a transmission worked on in a car, and it was like $500 just to get to the transmission before they even did work on it. They should make it harder to steal something that they know has that kind of value. The same with stealing a car. Just as with the technology in the cars today, why can't they make it where it won't start, where it won't go, where you have an app on your phone? I have to put some responsibility on the manufacturers for staying up to date with the technology and helping us car owners a little bit, because we pay for all this crap. Why don't they have something that actually we could use, like, stopping the car if it goes away from where we parked it?
Well, the dealer has that, but it's a $5,000 add-on.
It's true. It's going to cost us more, and having something hidden like the catalytic converter, if you do have to work on it, it's going to cost you more to have that work done. But I've never had a catalytic converter replaced, so there's a balance. But when they know something is targeted, I think they should take some measures to protect us. That's all.
Well, thank you so much for the call, Craig. I appreciate it. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Morris. Morris, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon. The locks are meant for honest people. All right, if you're a criminal and there's no punishment for your crime you commit, you're going to keep on doing it. And all they know, everything is about a collection of money. Fine for this, penalty for that, tax for that. Why not build the prisons 100 stories high, make the criminal walk up the stairs 100 stories to their cell, and drag them with a rope if they need to? I mean, enough is enough. The jail's overcrowded. They don't do anything about it except the taxpayer keep on paying. And that doesn't solve the criminal element. It just gets worse.
No, you're completely right about that, Morris. And what's actually been going on for the past 12 years here in the state of California, ever since prison realignment, is something that's not an incredibly serious violent crime like stealing a car. Even if you get convicted of it, you go down to the jails instead of the prisons. The jails are overcrowded. And so even if you're convicted, found guilty, plead guilty, you'll be out on the street.
People don't get it. We vote for all the homeless tax. All I'm a taxpayer. They drink my blood. When they broke into my van, I call the police. We don't come out for that. All right, but you go to the library, and they got 2 police officers in the library, 2 security guards. The homeless are in there, as their hotel, falling asleep on the desk over there. They don't do anything about it. So as long as they can get the tax revenue from the homeowner, the taxpayer, drink your blood, this is how the system works. I don't get it.
I totally agree with you, Morris. Thank you so much for the call and all the vampire references. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, Randy. How you doing today?
Doing great.
I just got 2 words: personal responsibility. If they put cookies out in front of you, weigh 200 pounds, and you eat 40 cookies, that's your personal responsibility.
Yeah, I don't blame Chips Ahoy for how I got this fat.
Right. And, if there are laws, there should be accountability. If this is low-hanging fruit, maybe they should charge them and give them more time because they stole an easy-to-steal car. Go the other way.
Yeah, at no point whenever Bonta's asked about this does he even talk about increasing the penalties or holding accountable the people stealing the cars. It's all about going after the manufacturer.
Well, there's no money in, the criminal, but there's money in the manufacturer. It's just, central planning to ruin the state. It's just ridiculous.
Thanks so much for the call, Patrick. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. The Attorney General, Rob Bonta, is blaming Kia and Hyundai because they made their cars too easy to steal.
Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law.
Do you agree with Rob Bonta? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Aaron in Santa Clarita. Aaron, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man? Good talking to you.
Doing great.
So
I cannot blame anyone but the criminal. This is ridiculous. So you stop them from stealing the cat converter, but they're going to go to my door now? I already had it stolen twice, and they blame me because I didn't put the car in the garage. How many cars should I put in the garage? My kids, my family, and mine? So that's baloney. They're going to steal something else if they make one thing harder. There's no way they're going to stop.
No, at this point, should I blame Apple for manufacturing an iPod that I left in plain view when I got my car broken into 15 years ago?
Exactly. Yeah, my son is in the Coast Guard, and he just went up to Virginia. I go, don't put anything in the seat like you always do. Even though he's in the military, everything's in the open. I go, they're going to steal it. They're going to break your car, and then I'm going to be getting a phone call.
Yeah, so, you can't put any valuables in your car these days.
No. And it's too much, shoe kissing on people that are not working. Why don't you help the people that are working and paying taxes? This is ridiculous.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the call, Aaron. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's rapid fire phones here on the John Phillips Show. Let's go to Grant. Grant, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, man. Fan of the show. I totally disagree. I feel like they're shifting the focus away from the criminals to just try to blame the car manufacturers, which I think is they have a point about following the law. Fine, I give them that. Any manufacturer should make something according to the law, but they're shifting the focus to the criminals. What the last callers just said, I agree. They're going to find a way. If they make something harder to steal, they're going to find a way to get it, or just focus on something else.
Well, this is only 30-40% of the cars. So 60% of the cars stolen are stolen that are cars that don't have this, this technology feature. There are people being carjacked, or the people hotwiring cars or stealing keys. It's happening all over the place, and we don't see the Attorney General talking about it.
Exactly. He's a coward. He needs to go after the criminals. It's just out of hand. It's out of hand. There's no consequences anymore, and it's just like the Wild West again.
Totally. Thanks so much for the call, Grant. Appreciate it. Let's go to Ryan. I love that name. Ryan in Orange County. You're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate you having me on.
What do you want to say?
I was going to say it is, sure, it's the fault. Any criminal, it's the consequences they get is either they go to jail and so forth. But I do want to pose a second question for you. In the end, it's going to be no matter what whoever picks or whose fault it is, it's the tax, or I guess the consumer is going to be paying for it. Either we're paying in taxes for going after the criminals, or we're paying the extra cost for the manufacturer for increasing the security. What do you think would be the best option?
It's an absolute tough one. I think it's got to be a little of both. We have to show that there are actual deterrents for committing these crimes. If we don't, people are going to run rampantly. And the point where people are doing this with such impunity that they're posting videos about it on social media, that's absolutely absurd. But yes, you should make your car as difficult to steal as possible. But when there's a will, there's a way.
I agree. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for the call. Let's go to Sam in Costa Mesa. Sam, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Oh, hey, Randy. How are you?
Doing great.
Okay, as far as the catalytic converters go, this isn't rocket science. Make it illegal to recycle a catalytic converter, except unless you're an auto wrecker, and then you have a certain inventory, and you can only recycle that many per year, comparing to your inventory. If you can't recycle this sucker, guess what? You're not going to steal it.
Yeah, that would seem like a very simple fix. It's bizarre that, we don't see anyone in local government even proposing going after the second market on these things, the places that are melting these things down for the precious metals inside.
Yeah, and if you go into an auto wrecker, 10 to 1, the catalytic converter is still in the car. The amount of these that are getting melted down, I think, is very minimal. Because usually what an auto wrecker does is he'll cut it out or take it out and resell it for, if they go bad, they basically break apart and get clogged up, or if somebody steals them. As far as the theft thing goes, you know what? I don't want to put I don't know if I should put this plug in because I'm not going to get anything from them. I have basically it's a removable kill switch. You cannot steal the friggin' car with this thing, and it clips onto your keychain, and then when you want to start your car, you plug it back in.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was about $500. I have all my work trucks done on it. And speaking also the guy from Newport Beach, we border, Costa Mesa borders Newport. We're a little bit more practical than they are. I have tools in my truck that I can cut anything that the manufacturer puts in my way to keep me from a catalytic converter in the same amount of time. If he thinks that the manufacturer can come up with a way to not get it stolen, he's crazy. It doesn't work that way. So anyway. But yeah, my suggestion is get that removable kill switch, and it's going to thwart an awful lot of these car thefts. And it doesn't matter what kind of car you have, because if they're going to switch away from the Kias, and they're going to go to other things too.
Well, yeah, you're not going to stop them unless you put them in prison for their thieving. Or we go Sharia law and chop off their hands. Thanks so much for the call, Sam. Appreciate it. Hey, KBC Sales Department, are you listening? Let's go after this kill switch so people can't steal your car. That would be a fantastic endorsement. I'd love to talk about it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Attorney General Rob Bonta is blaming Kia and Hyundai for being Kia and Hyundai and making cars that are easy to steal on TikTok.
Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law.
Do you agree with the Attorney General? 800-222-KABC. Daniel in Long Beach. Daniel, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
So yeah, just to give you an idea of how the Bontas are, his wife basically voted not to make child sex trafficking a more serious crime.
Why, yes, she did.
That is their whole MO. That's the whole progressive MO, so-called progressive MO, is to tax gouge, not enforce the law, and clearly destroy an infrastructure. I'm a native, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And like you said, it's rapid fire on the phones. People are getting sick and tired of it, and they're starting to see through the BS, and the pendulum is going to swing back hard. And I really hope it does soon.
It really seems like it is. And we'll see in the next couple elections. A Gascon election in 2024, that's going to be something that tells us. Also, this guy, Rob Bonta, wants to be governor in 2026. I don't think he's going to make it past the primary.
Well, here's the thing that scares me the most is that you have the California majority that votes for people like this. That's what's scary. But like I said, I hope more and more people really start to see through the BS because, the pendulum will swing. I really believe it will. So, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, thank you so much for the call, Daniel. I really appreciate it. Let's keep going. Court in Glendale. Court, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Thank you. Hello. I think probably we're missing the elephant in the living room. It's true, Bonta's a moron. He's reflective of most of the politicians in Sacramento. The problem is they get reelected again and again and again, and they do this type of thing again and again and again to the voting population. What do you do with a voting population of morons? Now, Sheriff Joe Arpaio suggested maybe it's the water we drink. Could be. Could also be too much cell phone usage might debilitate the number of brain cells. But I talk to people, and the response I get is, I'd like to discuss this with you further, but the Lakers are going to be on in 5 minutes. They vote for what they deserve.
Well, we definitely do have a lot of low information voters in the state of California. In fact, when it comes to local elections, you have the vast, vast, vast majority of people that don't participate at all. Thanks so much for the call, Court. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Eddie in Laguna Niguel, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, I missed your 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. session, Randy.
Oh, that lasted for like 3 whole months. Thanks for that.
We missed that. Hey, my one quick point is that, if I had the opportunity to cut my work job down by 40%, and I think my boss would say, hey, you're just being lazy out there, not prosecuting like you're supposed to be doing. So I think it's much more insidious problem in that it's laziness on the, they're just cutting their caseloads down by substantial amounts, both him and Gascon.
Oh, yeah. And you got to remember, Bonta is a staunch supporter of Gascon. He endorsed Gascon and believes in very similar ideology. So while a lot of these cases don't reach the level of what the Attorney General does specifically, his messaging on this is a huge deal throughout the entire state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much for the call, Eddie. Appreciate it. Let's go to D. D, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hi. We all know that was a stupid thing the guy said. We're going to hold the car people responsible, but we're not going to hold the criminals responsible. But my issue is with the woman that was in that clip that went down a whole list of things that she thinks we should consider about the criminalizing these people. Like they're going to have a criminal history for the rest of their life, and it's going to follow them. Aren't those the things that the criminals are supposed to consider before they break the law?
Well, in Ulysses Hernandez's eyes, the criminals are her constituents.
Well, and then the other thing is she went out on a limb and disclosed that she knows exactly who is going to wind up being the target of the criminalization because she knows which neighborhoods they're in. So why are we even – they know who the criminals are, but they want to protect them. We know what neighborhoods are going to be prosecuted. Well, why don't we nip that in the bud?
Well, we'd love to, but especially in that district, they voted for somebody who is an open and out-of-the-closet abolitionist. Ulysses Hernandez won that election handily with the message, we should not have law enforcement.
Well, then hopefully it's her car they steal and her catalytic converter in her home that they have an invasion and start shooting people. Let's bring all of these people to their neighborhoods.
Thank you so much for the call. Do you appreciate it? We here at 790 KABC don't advocate for violence against anyone in political office. Just had to read that. Let's go to Diana in Whittier. Diana, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hi, Randy. I just love you too every day. I look forward to 12 to 3. Anyways, my thing is I'm totally against Rob Bonta for everything that he says that comes out of his mouth and his wife that steals and takes over other things that she shouldn't be getting involved in. But my thing is, are we going to start blaming the victims for everything? So what about these women that get raped? They're wearing a short dress, they're wearing shorts, they're wearing something low cut. Now is it going to be their fault? Because if we're going to start blaming them, then I'm thinking the next thing is going to go there.
That is a very, very, very interesting argument. Diana, thank you so much for the call, and thanks for the nice words. We love 12 to 3, too. I look forward to this every single day. Let's go to Barbara in L.A. Barbara, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hey, Randy. Doing a great job as usual, whether there are two of you or one of you. Great show.
Thank you.
I blame the people who were so enthusiastic about police defunding the police department. The criminals know there's nobody going to come and get them if somebody calls and that their reports their car is being stolen, and so they just get away with it, and they go out with that mindset. We've had people in our neighborhood now breaking into cars, breaking into homes. Several people came in ski masks the other day. They had a Tesla and a Mercedes as getaway cars.
Oh my!
Yes.
Criminals are doing better than you and me.
I think so, but spiritually, I'm doing a lot better, and so are you.
I believe you're 100% right on that. Thanks so much for the call, Barbara, and we appreciate it. Love how much people love this show. Let's go to Jim in Redondo. Jim, you're on the John Phillips Show. Hello.
Hi, this is Jim. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the catalytic converter theft, and part of the reason that we have that issue is because of the cost of the metals that are involved with it, and that's why they're getting so much money for it. I had one of those stolen out of my truck, and there was no way that you're going to get them to not be able to do that. So what I think that what should be done is that you should be able to make a claim with the state of California whenever this kind of a crime happens, to where you can be reimbursed for the cost, and that'll put the fire under these morons in office to fix the problem.
Well, that's fascinating, Jim, because, we reported earlier that insurance companies already don't want to insure Kias and Hyundais because of the theft vulnerability, and we're seeing the insurance companies leave the market when it comes to home insurance. We might be at a point where the state of California has to insure you for everything, so you might very well be able to make a claim that they stole your car or they stole your catalytic converter. Thank you so much for the call. Oh, boy, we're running out of time here, but wow. That was a whole lot of calls. Thank you all so much. We will, I'm sure, revisit this topic very, very soon. You can always email us as well at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Twitter, Randy Wang Radio. Follow me on Insta, Randy Wang Radio. It's the same thing. 2 more hours to go. It is the John Phillips Show, and it's Randy Wang here on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Are we blaming the car?
We're holding Kia and Hyundai accountable for not following the law.